Namaste. You may be wondering, what is Dr. Ananda up to right now? Why he has this new filter that goes into 6 pieces? Well, I thought I will share with you some thoughts about something that rips us into pieces. The Shat Ripus. The Shat Ripus are the enemies of the spirit. The enemies of the spirit that splinter us into multiple parts, creating a sense of division, creating a sense of duality, and creating a sense of fear. Fear is a primordial, instinctive mechanism. A mechanism that had a purpose long time ago in our evolution. It is very much linked to our brainstem which is linked to the survival instinct, and in yoga is called abhinivesha, that desire to survive at any cost that drives us to become something that we are not. The Shat Ripus are an integral part of Indian philosophy and even more Indian psychology. In the traditional thought process, the ancient rishis understood that we as a human being are in a process of evolution, or rather involution, that is a parinama, a transformative process. And that this transformative process was meant to enable us to move from a subhuman state of existence to a human state of being, and then grow into manifesting our innate divine potential for universality. So subhuman to human, humane and divine. Now what has happened is that the Shat Ripus, these 6 enemies of the spirit, they actually rip us apart. And the English word rip is related to ripu. The ripus rip us into pieces, just as you are seeing me with these 6 pieces in this filter. We are ripped apart, and that creates confusion, that creates a fear of the unknown, and then we are then bound into instinctive reactionary behavior. Instinctive reactionary behavior that is subhuman. To be human is to have responsive, intuitive behavior. I'm going to repeat that so that we get it again. To be subhuman is to be locked in instinctive, reactionary behavior, which is totally reflexive. It is a reflex. And with reflexes, there is no central understanding at all. You hit me, I hit you back. You poke me, I poke you back. You like me, I like you. You don't like me, I don't like you. A tit for tat, an eye for an eye, as Gandhi said, makes the whole world blind. So, instinctive, reflexive, and reactionary behavior is subhuman, and this is triggered by the survival instinct, abhinivesha, related to the old brain, the reptilian and mammalian parts of us, especially the reptilian, which is the brainstem and spinal cord, that only cares about survival and nothing else. It wants you to be alive. It doesn't care whether you have a life or not. Okay? That is the subhuman. Reactionary, reflexive, and reactionary, reflexive, and without a thought process. It is just happening. That is why it is instinctive. The 3 words: reflexive, reactionary, instinctive. Now, when we transcend our subhuman nature, and please mind it that I'm not using animal because I respect animals. Animals are just being themselves. It is when we human beings become animals that something is wrong. A dog barking has no problem at all. It is perfect. A cat meowing is perfect. A lion eating a deer is perfect. No issue. It is being itself. It is manifesting its dharma, its purpose. It is when we humans descend to a subhuman level that the problem arises. And when we start to become instinctive creatures, when we start to become reactionary creatures, and when we start to become bound in this, when we transcend it, we become human. And human becoming humane is where we become responsive, we become reflective, and we become intuitive. So the difference between subhuman and human is the subhuman is reactionary, reflexive, and instinctive. The human and humane is responsive, intuitive, and reflective. I have to be very careful that I don't mess up these words because they are very, very important. So what happens is, in our attempt to be human and humane, we have these 6 enemies of the spirit, the Shat Ripus. That is why we have the 6 here, okay? The 6 splintered images of Dr. Ananda. Ananda is one. There are 6 pieces now because the Shat Ripus are pulling me apart. We are all being pulled apart. What are these Shat Ripus? 6 enemies of the spirit. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Okay? I'm going to translate that. Don't worry. It's all Sanskrit to you, right? Like it's Greek and Latin to me. Kama is translated as desire. Now it is not desire because in the Indian scheme of things, desire is also legitimate. It is one of the Chaturvida Purusharthas along with Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So what we need to understand is desire is not wrong. It is the excessive desire, the uncontrolled desire, and the fulfillment of desire in the wrong way. That an adharmic way. That is the issue with karma. And that is why desires can be fulfilled. Emotional fulfillment is part and parcel of being human. Nothing wrong in it. But not greed. Not this unnecessary desire that is so big that nobody can ever fulfill it. That pulls you apart. When your desire is so much that it pulls you apart and you start to behave as a subhuman being or subhuman doing. And what happens is you are not yourself anymore. Kama. Second is Krodha. People translate it as anger. Anger is not bad at all. Righteous anger is very, very good. And in fact, sometimes we need to be angry about what's happening in the world. How these subhuman beings, the animals, are being treated by us human beings. How the world is being mutilated by us as a race. We should be angry about it. Yes, nothing wrong. And anger is a valuable tool. But uncontrolled anger, rage, is where the problem comes. Because the moment you go into rage, all your cortical functioning goes out the window. Because the emotionality takes over. The mammalian brain takes over. Emotions are the limbic system, the mammalian brain. So, excessive desire that can never be fulfilled, that bottomless pit, yeah. And excessive anger that goes into rage. In Tamil we say, Athira Karanakku Buddhi Mattu, which means that when you go into rage, your whole discernment goes out. And we lose all capacity for discernment. Okay? Kama, Krodha. Then comes Lobha. Lobha is greed. Greed is a major issue. In fact, the great Mahatma Gandhi very clearly told us, he said, there's enough on this planet for every person's need, but not enough to fulfill any one person's greed. And you know that 1%, not 1%, 1% of humanity who has everything, that is Lobha. And this is a major issue we are having because unfulfillable, excessive desire excessive anger into rage where we lose ourself. All cortical control is lost. And excessive greed. Need and greed, it's a very thin line. And that is where we become a human being. When we can have the capacity for introspective self-reflection. Swadhyaya is the key to distinguish the fine line between do I need it or is it my greed? And we have seen a lot of that with the hyper-emotional survival instinct-driven behavior by the featherless bipeds on this planet. The moment COVID came into being, we saw a lot of this hoarding and people fighting over toilet paper and all sort of nonsense coming from the Shat Ripus. Kama, Krodha, Lobha. Next is Moha. Moha is often translated as infatuation, but rather it is delusional psychosis. Delusional psychosis is Moha, where you have lost all connection with reality. And there are many people who are the top guys in the country who are suffering Moha. There are a lot of them out there. What is happening is that there is no connection with reality at all. And what happens when you are not connected to reality? You are not going to have your feet firmly on the ground. And if your feet are not firmly on the ground, if you are not connected, you are going to be in trouble. Remember, in the electricity, you have a grounding wire. Especially in India, we have it, and I hope most countries have something like that. We have a positive and negative terminal, and we have a grounding wire. And if that grounding wire is not connected to the ground, watch out. You're going to have quite an electrical shock. We need to be grounded. And this is why one has to be very careful with Moha, because many people in the spiritual world get into this. Patanjali calls it Bhranti Darshana, a false delusional sense of attainment. And the subconscious unconscious plays this trick on us by making us think we are already there so that we stop making the effort. Moha is that. Then comes Mada. Mada is excessive ego. This is this ego that gets offended. This is the ego that thinks it knows everything. This is the ego that thinks it is the most important person on this planet. And hence, everybody else is a second grade or third grade citizen. This Mada is a very, very big issue. It is the asmita, it is the ahankara of an unparalleled level. And that really is a core element that pulls us apart, tears us apart, tears us as an individual apart, tears families apart, tears societies apart, and has torn the whole world apart. Thinking that only we deserve to be and everybody else is a second grade citizen. Anything less than us human beings is just meant for consumption. No. Every living being has as much right to be on this planet as us human beings. Okay? That is a very important thought that has to come from here. So Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and the last one, Matsarya. Envy, jealousy. How much of this yellow-green bile we have in us? We cannot even think of others without, how dare they have it and not me? I deserve it more than them. And immediately what happens is the vitriolic comes out. The vitriolic that comes out of the sense of only I need it and nobody else should have it. And if somebody gets it, this jealousy that comes. Why do we have jealousy? Why do we have Matsarya? Because we think of the other person as a challenge, as a threat. Why do we think of that threat? Because we don't have a sense of oneness. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, one of the largest Upanishads in Indian tradition, tells us from duality comes fear. From Dvaitam comes Bhayam. And my father Swami Geetananda Giri used to say the first disease is duality. When you think you are different than the universe in which you live, disease has started, Vyadhi has started. When you think that you are different than the family in which you live, duality. When you think you are different than the society, you are different than the world, you are different than the planet, you are different than the universe, when your mind and body think they are different from each other, when your cells, those trillions of cells, start to think they are different from each other, that is where disease comes in. And that is where competition comes in. So the whole key element of Matsarya is, as Ken Kieves talks about in his evolutionary quirks, psychological quirks, is because of the unsafe stranger. The moment you think of somebody else as a stranger, you feel unsafe because you are threatened. But if you see the oneness, there's no threat. When your child does well, do you feel any jealousy? No, because it's your child. But when the next door person's child does well, they must have cheated in the exam. The parents must have helped that kid. They must have had performance enhancers. They must have been doing yoga. The Shat Ripus rip us apart. And that is why in yoga, one of the key elements is to become aware of who our enemies are. The enemy is not external. The biggest enemies, these 6 enemies, are within us. The Shat Ripus, the 6 enemies of spirit, have to be confronted with consciousness, confronted with mindfulness. And in order to do that, the Kriya Yoga of Patanjali is an amazing tool. Tapas Swadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana. When we make that self-effort, that discipline, do the tough things because they are good. Do the good things even if they are tough. As they often say, when the tough times come, the tough get going. That is tapa. Swadhyaya is to go within and understand yourself, understand the ripus and start to deal with them consciously. And then Ishvara Pranidhana is understand that we are all one. We are all nothing but the drop of the ocean. And the ocean lies in the drop. And we as a drop are potentially the ocean. The Kriya Yoga of Patanjali is an amazing tool in order for us to deal with the Shat Ripus. And these Ripus have to be dealt with consciously. That consciousness is what yoga is all about. As Swamiji used to say, yoga is conscious evolution. Let us all resolve today to become a reflective, responsive, intuitive human being and transform ourselves both as an individual, as a society, and as humanity 2020. May we all be blessed. Hari Om Tat Sat.